In this video, we're going to discuss wooded property, whether you already own it or if you're going to be purchasing it and you're looking at it as an investment, of things you can do with it. Clearing ground is something that takes a lot of effort, and it can be very rewarding. But on the other side of that, there's a few things you need to know. And it's a lot of work. What you're looking at behind me here is exactly the way our property looked when we bought it, and it was a large effort to actually get clear. What I'm getting ready to show you is the aftermath. But everything you see there can be an asset for you. You can these trees have value, so you don't want to just doze them up into a pile and not get at least something for them. Okay, let's discuss some of the avenues, and I'm going to show you what we ended up with. Now, what you're seeing here is 20 years of life. We've put a lot of work into this place. I don't want you to think it's going to be easy, because it's not. Okay, but I am going to show you how we finished up with what we have here. We're done with the big equipment now. Now it's just simply a matter of preserving what we have. We've got it just about the way we want it, and we are able to manage the trees now and utilize them for a different use. Let me show you what we have here. And I'm going to pan across here and show you what we ended up with. The main yard here is about 5 acres. And like I said, now it took us about 2 weeks to clear out as to what you're seeing now. Pan on across here. The first thing you're going to want to do with your property is determine what trees you have on your property and what value they have. And the best way I can tell you to do that is go to your local sawmills, call several logging companies, and do some research for yourself. What we're looking at here is a pine tree, and these pine trees are valuable. Logging companies and sawmills love those. If you have a bunch of acreage that has pine trees on it, then it's going to be in your benefit to find out, again, from local sources as to what the value of them are. Find out what lengths you need to cut these trees in order for them to be of value to them. Get as much as you can get out of them. If you have a lot of trees that you need to process, then it very well may be paying for 5 or 10 acres for you, because you don't want to damage these trees to where the sawmills won't purchase them from you. Now, if you start pushing on this with a dozer, what will happen a lot of the time is it will split the tree, and you will lose a lot of this lower surface. So that's why you see logging companies, they come in and they never push trees. They either use a processor or simply saw them down and cut them into the lengths they want. If you're pushing on it with equipment, again, you can split this tree and then you've lost all the value other than firewood. Now, firewood's an excellent sales source for you, because there you can actually get a little more out of it as firewood sometimes than what you can processing the tree for sawmill. So depending on the tree. Now you start getting into your hardwoods such as your cherries, oaks, walnut. If you've got large walnut trees on your property, have someone come and look at them. When the walnut market is up, some of those trees can go as high as $10,000 or $15,000. So, I mean, again, these trees have quality and value to them, and educate yourself as to what trees is on your property so you don't lose a bunch of money. Okay, I mean, walnut trees, woo. And even some of your cherries and things like that. Maple's another one. Depending on the tree, it can be very valuable. So you need to look at it, and if you're not knowledgeable about what type of tree it is, what species, then have someone come out and look at them for you, because you could potentially be sitting on a lot of money here. Just in this open area that you see here, we removed over 450 cedar trees. This was a cedar thicket, and I mean, the trees were 2 and 3 feet apart. Now, we didn't just come in and doze those into a pile. We laid the trees down, we processed the trees, and we were able to cut them into 7-foot lengths with 7-inch tips, and we took those to our sawmill. So again, they had value for us. And it's simply your ground, your trees, research them and make sure that you know what you're dealing with before you just push them into a pile and burn them, okay? Because even the smaller trees, the companies now are taking the small trees and running them through a chipper and actually making pulpwood out of them, or making chips for plywood and different things like that. Research on your part to figure out what you actually have on your property could mean a lot of value for you. So take your time. I mean, it's important for you. Now, some important things to mention: if you're going to harvest the trees yourself, when it is possible, try to harvest, or at least take to the market, the same species of trees. So for instance, you know, if you're cutting cedar, stack up all your cedar in one spot, again, when possible. And then when you haul to the market, haul those out. That way when you get there, you're not dealing with 5 different trees and trying to familiarize yourself with those. It's easier if you have one species of tree that you're delivering at the same time. A second thing, if you are pushing these trees down, again now, be very cautious, because you can spend more money if you run one of these tree branches through the cab with you, or run one of these tree branches into the radiator of a machine you have rented. You can get into several $1,000s really quick. So be cautious. Again, try to group these things together when you're taking the trees to market. That way it's just simpler, you know, for you to be able to decide what the value is once you get to where you're taking them to. Okay? Hope that makes sense for you. That's a nice tree. This is another cedar thicket that we have here on our ground. It's probably about 3 acres. And every one of those trees have value. If you're planning on fencing the ground that you have purchased, then you can make your own fence post out of those. Those make excellent fence posts. Now again, cedar can be used for furniture. Many different uses for cedar. Now before we head back, this cedar tree I have here, this is just about 6 inches at the base, and then stays about 5 inches all the way up to here. So again, that's at minimum 1 fence post. This is something you wouldn't want to push down with a dozer because you'll split it. Now track hoe works perfect, because a track hoe you can actually dig the roots loose and then just simply use the bucket to push it over. You're not going to harm the tree, and you'll have this stuff removed. So that makes it for a simple way to do an excellent job of clearing and be able to actually keep the tree and have value for it as far as resale. So a track hoe, if you're planning on clearing 100% and you want to plant crops or something like that, then a track hoe is what you truly need. Okay? Now you have to be careful pushing on trees, because if it's a dead tree, when you start to push on it, typically they want to break backwards. So as you're pushing on these things, and if it's a dead tree, it's going to fall onto the cab with you. So you have to be careful there. Now that's another benefit of cedars on your property. Every bit of that, we just simply harvested the tree and put that together. So other than a day's worth of work and $20 worth of bolts and screws, that bridge, you know, was paid for by the trees that was here. And it's a cool bridge. So you don't have to waste anything. Now this guy here, this is a black oak tree. And again, this has value to the sawmills. They make pallets. They can make furniture out of this. A bunch of different uses that, again, gives this tree value. It doesn't take many of those, and you can start paying for some ground. And what you're looking at there is another black oak tree, and I've set the camera tripod there to give you a reference to the size of that tree. And if you look up that thing, we're at least 40 feet before we hit the first branch, and then all the way up through the top. And again, now that's the type of trees that makes excellent furniture material because of the fact that it doesn't have any knots in it. Because again, we're 40 feet to hit that first branch. So again, that's a specialty tree that a furniture maker may pay top dollar for. Now there we're looking at a sycamore tree. And sycamore has a lot of benefits as well. And typically if you have sycamore trees growing, they're almost always by a water source. So we have a little creek here off in the background. And this lower 5 acres here is covered with sycamore trees. And they're growing healthy too. Now guys, this white oak tree behind me here, this would be another furniture tree simply because of the diameter of the base. You can see with all the knots and inclusions on that tree, when they saw that on a sawmill, all of that is going to come out into the decoration of the wood. That tree would look fabulous if it was on a sawmill laid down, and actually, because every knot hole that you see there is grown into the actual tree itself, and that's where you get the detail in the wood. So again, a specialty tree that someone looking for furniture wood, boy, what an excellent table that would make. And they're simply going to want the larger parts of it. So then you're going to be left with the top of the tree. Let me zoom you up there. Now all those branches you see up there is going to be firewood. And potentially there's several loads of firewood in there after they get what they would want from the tree itself. So that whole tree would make you money. Yeah, that oak tree has made a lot of shade in its lifetime. It's a beautiful tree and it's safe here. I don't have to take it down, so I'm going to leave it. But like I said, if that's something that you have growing on the property that you either have or looking to purchase, there's quite a bit of value there. Now I got a surprise for you. I'm going to take you down to a really big walnut tree I have. That's almost 3 feet across the base. Let me zoom you up to the top so you can see. Again, that's another specialty tree. And you can actually put those on auction, because furniture builders and specialty wood, that tree has tremendous value. I want to show you the circumference of this tree. I mean, that is it's a beautiful tree and a healthy tree. And now with walnut, all these inclusions that you see here, again, now this is specialty material, and they love these inclusions here. All your gun stocks and different things like that are typically made from the base root system of the tree. If you have trees like this on your ground, have somebody come out and look at them. I know at the time when we bought this property, these trees were going for in the neighborhood of $5,000 to $10,000 a piece, depending on who was bidding on them. There was a walnut shortage at that point, and this tree here very well could have paid for the property. I mean, at least 5 or 6 acres of it. If you start finding trees like this, or the large white oak tree, or even the good 24-inch trees that are healthy and tall, it could very well pay for the property you're looking at, depending on the number of trees you have, as well as depending on the market value at the time you're getting ready to clear them. It fluctuates with the market, so whatever supply and demand is greater at that point, that's the trees you want to look at harvesting. Right down to the brush. I mean, you get down into these 3 to 5 inch trees, and if you have enough of them, then find out if there's someone that's cutting chipwood or pulpwood in your area. But definitely on these girls like this, do your research, because there's a lot of value there. Okay, and she's safe here. It's going to be here a lot longer than I am. Just take your time and you'll get through it. Clearing ground is hard work, but it is worth the effort. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video.